Welcome to the Successful Nurse Coach podcast. On this podcast, Laura
and Shelby, both board-certified nurse coaches, show you how to make as much money as you want in private practice as a nurse coach. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Successful Nurse Coach podcast. You have the pleasure of Laura and I both being here today. What a treat. What a treat. We've had...
Love us, though. I think we're great. We just got back from Vegas last week. So I don't know when this is going to go live, but we were in Vegas early June and spent a lot of time together. And it's so much more fun to do business stuff together than separate. And I think that it's even more fun to do podcasts together than separate.
Totally. I was talking to another nurse coach, wildly successful nurse coach yesterday. She was telling me she's experiencing a lot of like the heartaches that we've experienced over like team members that aren't a great fit and people being crazy, like clients being crazy and, being all up in your email. And she was like, it's just me. And I was like, oh, dude, I am so sorry. Like, I know exactly how this feels. And it stinks that you do not have someone to help carry the burden alongside you.
Oh, I know.
And so like, I'm here. I'll be your fake business partner today. But it is better. It is better together. Yeah. And if you are probably a solo entrepreneur listening to this, I don't say that to be a Debbie Downer, but get a best friend who is riding shotgun with you. Yeah. Find a nurse coach bestie to do it, to be on the roller coaster with you. Yeah.
We see that in our group chats too, is a lot of, that's half of the value, I think, of group programs or community-based programs is like nobody's going to get it in your normal life unless you have a successful entrepreneur friend or a very entrepreneurial family that you can debrief with. But it's, we talk about it being a lonely road. And so we want to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Anyways, though, but today's episode is not a Debbie Downer. It is highly functional and tactical, and you will want to bookmark this podcast.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. We're going to talk about how to talk about what you do, how to answer that question we all love to hate. And especially when we're new and we don't know what to say, but we're going to break it down. We're going to break it down today on like why this question feels hard, what to say, how to answer this question well. Laura mentioned that we were in Vegas last week and we kind of were leading with Nurse Life Coach Academy. That's why we were there to get feedback on NLCA and having to talk about what you do to a room full of people that is not coaches, that don't know nurses, they don't know what a CEU is. They have no idea about anything. In the coaching world was a little sobering for me and good because like the questions they were asking, it's not because I was explaining it incorrectly. It's just they really have no idea. So it was good. And I think this episode is well timed for us as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do you remember getting this question? I mean, I think you have a story about getting this question while you were in the hospital recently and feeling like you were kind of stammering over it, or like there's a sense of like, oh, when I'm answering this question about Nurse Life Coach Academy, which is new, it reminds me of answering the question of what a nurse coach is or what do I do in my first year or two in private practice. And so this is fresh for us as well. And so part of the reason this question feels so hard when somebody asks you, when you're in certification, when you first launch your private practice, is that you're pivoting. Your identity is not that yet. And so it's weird to say, this is what I do, but your identity isn't that yet. And so in some ways it feels disingenuous. And then just saying you're an RN is so much safer. People know what that is and people respect what that is. And so it's oftentimes I hear that we go to answer the question and it feels way more wobbly than we think it's going to. And this comes up with new students in the academy all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Because whenever people ask you what you do and you're like, oh, I just started this new thing, it's called nurse coaching. And then they're like, oh, I've never heard of that before. Tell me more about that. And then we our tendency is to launch into like a 30-minute PowerPoint presentation on what it is, how it got started, that you're credentialed, that you've done all these hours. Like we want to over explain because you're not just introducing yourself, you're also introducing a new industry to people
Yeah.
most of the time. And then when people ask you like clarifying questions, it's really easy to feel attacked. Even though I don't think that that's most people's intention to like be bringing you down a peg, but they just don't know what it is. It's foreign. They've never heard of it before. It's like meeting a data analyst and you're like, "Tell me about that." I've not like that's so foreign to me.
Yeah.
What do you analyze? What kind of data? Like I think for nurses, I mean, I took it personally in the beginning. I won't speak for everybody, but whenever people will be like, "I've never heard of that before. What do you mean?" My dad still tells me this. My dad was in Vegas with me and Laura and left that and he's like, "I still don't know what you do." And I'm like, at this point, it's because you're trying to not understand, Dad, truly. But it I took it personally in the beginning. It's tender.
Yeah, so we have two barriers here, or two uphill battles, I think, is the identity piece. It's something that we're new at, and it's two parts. It's part of nursing, which is a brand new specialty, the fastest growing holistic specialty that nobody knows about. And so you are an innovator. By choosing this career path, you are an innovator. You are not walking down a super well-known specialty that's hit a tipping point yet in awareness. And so that's more difficult than something that's more well-worn. If you went to chiropractic school and you say you're a chiropractor, people know what that is. But before chiropractic was a thing, they were innovative and it was still a difficult thing to answer. So part of what you're experiencing is being an innovator and permission to be that. Like, that's really cool. And what's cool about being like on the innovative curve is it's like there's a sense that it's something that's not well known yet. And that's really exciting. If you think about all of the AI stuff, 3 years ago, if somebody said, I work in AI, and everybody would be like, what's AI? And now it's like anything that anybody can talk about. And so that's really exciting. It just positioning you to be an expert, to be an OG as talking
Mhm.
about it now. We're going to talk about what not to do, like very tactically and practically. When people ask you this, we're going to give you some go-to statements to craft what do you do? And then I'm going to talk about the main outcome that we want when somebody asks us this in most instances is we want to get them into a coaching conversation. So we're going to talk about that. Now that's different than many other industries. So we're going to talk about that at the end as well. First, Shelby, you want to talk about what not to do? I mean, we have a lot of examples. So if you've done
Yeah.
this, no shade.
Yeah,
We've
no.
done it too.
We've done it too. We've done it too. Yeah. So I think where we're trying to land is like a simple, short, concise way to explain what nurse coaching is. And I see our clients doing this when they are connecting for their private practice as well, is that we have this tendency to over explain because we're afraid that we're not going to be understood, that people are going to misunderstand us and think that we're like an MLM or something, right? Like we have all these stories, but first things first, don't lead with your credentials. Don't explain what a board certification is. Don't, launch into the logistics of your certification and how many hours you've had to have unless it's contextually relevant. Like if you're talking to another nurse and they're like, "Wait, what? What are you talking about?" Then sure, like that's different. But if you are talking to a random person at the grocery store or you meet someone in a waiting room at a doctor's office, like I'm really sorry to say that people just don't care about our credentials at all. They want to know if you can help them. They're curious of like, can you help me or someone I know? And that's, I think, the first place where we get hung up. And you're like, well, I'm still a nurse and I went through this whole thing and it was 7 months long and I did all these hours. And it just like you'll watch people's eyes glaze over when you do
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
right. You'll lose the magic. So that's like it's a cool question to get because there's places that question can take you that's really awesome as a professional coach. Like we want to be asked, what do you do, Laura? What do you do? And I see Evan field this all the time. He's so damn good at it. And in the wild, in person, he just does it all the time. So I'm like constantly watching him do this. And the goal here is to make it super weird, straight up.
Yep.
You
Yep.
want to make it weird. So don't like any fear of you being misunderstood or being weird, like lean into being weird because if you say something people ask that question kind of like, how's the weather? Oh, how's so and so? It's like this surface level transactional thing that we just feel like we have to say when we meet somebody. And if you can make it weird, you'll become more interesting. And that's
Yep.
good. That's good as an
Yeah.
entrepreneur. You want to be interesting. We don't want you to teach a class about nurse coaching. We don't want you to say something like, I'm just starting, or I'm brand new. You don't have to say that. Like, it's just not necessary to say that. You'll say it sometimes, and maybe in like Shelby was saying, different contexts, that is relevant to say. But you don't feel the need to tell everybody that you're new when they ask you this question. It just undermines your value, and it
Hmm.
positions you in a place that you don't need to be. Um,
Yeah.
any other?
Agreed.
Yeah.
I have been particularly triggered by the word beta this week in my coaching calls. And I was talking to two experienced coaches, and they were calling this new thing that they were doing beta coaching. And I was just dying on this hill of like, you're not beta coaching. You know what you are doing. We can call it like a founder's price or an early bird special, or like there's different ways to acknowledge that you are testing a new concept that you haven't done before. But man, was I just getting fired up over the word beta group before, because I believe very deeply that nurses and nurses who become nurse life coaches in particular, while we might not have like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of coaching hours under our belts yet, like we'll get there, we do have thousands of hours belly to belly with humans in their most vulnerable state. And that
Right.
that is so I think what sets nurses apart in the coaching
Yeah.
industry. Truly. Like it's something
Yeah.
that you have learned and honed in on, and you can create safety and build rapport very quickly. Like all the other coaches in the world have to learn how to do that. That's not a skill that people come to the table with, and nurses already have it. And I think because it comes so naturally for most of us, we don't see the value or understand the value in it. So instead of saying like, I'm just new, I'm just starting, be like, yeah, I just transitioned into this new specialty of nursing called nurse coaching. And I work with blah blah blah. We'll get into that in a second. Or I help people do this. I think there's a way to acknowledge it, that you might be new to the specialty, but without like chopping yourself at the knees on how good you are
Right.
at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the traditional what do you do framework, in some ways, it doesn't work for the new nurse coach. And let me explain why. The traditional framework is I help blank specific person with blank specific challenge so that they can blank specific result. Like, that's if you type it into ChatGPT like we did today, if you use Google, in any other industry, like that's kind of the framework. It's what you do. Some version of how you answer it has to be that. That's
Yeah.
very difficult to do when you're a general life coach, when you're a new nurse coach, when you're not niched down yet, and you likely won't niche down in year one. You're going to likely niche
Mhm.
down in year two or year three so that that statement works and is effective. And so you could still use that framework and say, I help humans who are struggling with achieving goals create a strategy and a plan to go from point A to point B in their life in 3 months. That could be it. It's like very
Yeah.
general, but you kind of take them through a framework. You could say, I help women who are struggling with self-doubt and self-care by coaching them weekly for 3 months so that they can feel more energized, so that they can feel like they're a better mom, XYZ, all the promises. And you could do, when people ask you this, you could say something different every time.
Yeah.
You could have like something that you practice. So that's this canned result that has muscle memory, which I think is helpful. But I would often like take stock of the room that I was in and pull from a client that I had worked with and just use them as the case study that I think would be most relevant to the human in front of me. So if I was
Mhm.
talking to a mom from my kids' preschool, I would say something about another mom that I had worked with where I'm guessing there's some pattern recognition of like they both are struggling with the same things. But if I was working with an attorney, then I might talk about the struggles of being an overachiever and doing it all. Like I might change it a bit. So there's
Mhm.
no one's going to check on you. You can make this really specific. My husband, when he's talking to men, he'll talk about infidelity and talk about porn and talk about financial literacy and like all these different things. It's weird to hear the word porn when somebody's just like, hey, Evan, what do you do? And you're like, I help men overcome porn. right? Like, that's so
You're gonna remember.
shocking,
Yeah.
but they remember him, and then he, like, asks them more about and even if they don't have that specific problem, they just admire him for saying the word out loud and, like, being so real, and so I've seen that really work for him, and so
Yeah.
for you guys listening, write this down. I help a specific person, like some avatar, with a specific challenge so they can get a specific result. And you can draft several versions of those and just pick a few so that you have something to say on the spot. And you
Mhm.
notice that it's not, I'm a nurse coach. We are the fastest growing holistic board certified nurse specialty. And like, we don't want to do that. We want to be quick and then we want to turn the conversation over to the client or to the person. So the goal is to really have them talk about what they do.
Yeah. Which you guys are all really good at being curious about other people.
Yeah.
So just know that, like, whenever you get nervous, sometimes we tend to talk about ourselves more. And if you catch yourself doing that, just like end your sentence as soon as possible and start asking questions about
Yeah.
the person standing right in front of you. If you are still, I can hear the people who are being like, but I want to coach everyone.
Hmm.
I don't want to exclude anybody. And
Yeah.
yes, okay. No matter what sentence you create here, it will not stop the people who are meant to work with you, ever.
Right.
Never, never. It won't.
Well, and I had a weird one that I tried for a while that worked really well. And when somebody said, "What do you do?" I said, "Well, I do what I believe. And I believe that conversations can completely change your life. So I just have as many of those as possible with human beings and their lives get better." And like,
Mhm.
it's kind of arrogant in general, but weird enough that people be like, "Wait, what?" Like, yeah, I'm a life
Yeah,
coach. That's where I might say like life coach. I stopped saying nurse coach in the
yeah,
beginning. I would say life
yeah,
coach or advanced health coach or life alignment coach. But people kind of know what a life coach is. That's a pretty safe bet if you need to have a title. But nurse coach, they're going to say, "Oh, so you coach nurses?" Or, "Oh," and then you're going to get off in the wrong direction of just a non relevant conversation usually.
yeah.
But I do what I believe. So what do you do? Well, I do what I believe. And then making a belief statement can be awesome as a way to field that when you're a generalist and then ask, "Tell me more about what you do." And then just
Yeah.
have ask them powerful questions, almost like an impromptu, somewhat coaching session, use some of those skills. And then the goal of that conversation is actually, I would love to offer you one of my free sessions. I build my practice on word of mouth and referral instead of spending money on ads. And I have two available this month. Would you be interested? That's the place that we
Smooth.
want to get to in the conversation. That would be the best outcome as a new
Totally.
coach.
Yep. Yep, yep, yep. Also, team, if you are just like, I don't know, experiencing a lot of resistance around this, or the words I don't want to talk to people about what I do, or you're feeling extra insecure about it, record. This is why coaching solves almost all of your problems. Go record 5 coaching sessions and download the transcripts, put them into ChatGPT and say, "Can you do pattern recognition for me and see if these people have anything in common? What am I
Yeah.
helping them on the transactional level and on the deeper level?" And see what spits out. And then you'll have some, like, something to pull from that has actually happened, like a real coaching conversation. We're
Yes.
not pulling it out of thin air. It's tangible, it's real, you've done it. You just have to be willing to record your coaching calls.
Also, um, I want to speak to, I know Shelby and I can sound really smooth, and you guys all say this. How do you talk like that? Or how do you not stutter? Or how do you find the language? And we're 7 years in, we podcast every week. So we realize that this is a skill we've developed over time. But if you're listening to this going, I get so nervous, I can barely get words out of my mouth, that's where I was. And if I'm being honest, there are certain moods that I am in I'm still like that. So if you're resonating with that, like there's versions of you during your monthly cycle, there's versions of you depending on how your child sleeps. There's like different versions of you. It's like do the best you can in the state that you're in and don't beat yourself up. You don't have to do it perfect. You're not blowing it every time. This is the North Star. This is like in perfect conditions, this is how we want to do this thing for the highest like leveraged result. But the truth is that even if you do it imperfect, you could still create a client. And even if you started teaching the random person at the grocery store what a nurse coach is, and you're talking about that you don't coach nurses, that's okay too.
Yeah, it's
Because you're
all
still
good.
talking to people. Like, it's still a good skill set. And I always would tell our mentees in the early days, there's some days that you just feel like you got it, and some days you feel like you don't. Especially as women, I just, and probably with my personality, there's just highs and lows. Ride the
Mhm.
highs. Ride the highs and do all the things and nurture yourself in the lows and just trust that you're going to have a high again. But this idea that we're consistently on point with our what do you do framework every time somebody asks is a myth,
Yeah.
too.
I have the best story to share. I didn't tell you that this happened in Vegas, but we were on a break. We were on a break. So we in this workshop, we're paired with like a group of like 10 businesses. And so we get to know each other's businesses pretty well because they present on like I kind of know what you're struggling with, what you make
Hmm.
every year, it's very intimate. And this one gentleman who I think is still really nice, but we were on a break and we kind of like crossed paths and he came up to me and he's like, "So what do you do?" Like we hadn't been presented on yet, so
Yeah.
there's still kind of like some confusion. And I launched into the whole CEU bit of like, we're an education company. We do CEUs, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, so you work with nurses? I was like, we work with nurses, but our nurses work with anybody. And I could tell I was losing him. I was losing him. He was drifting away. And it was a real life ghost, Laura, like in real time.
He's like, oh God, why did I ask? Why did I stop?
Yeah. Oh my God. And then And then I think there was someone else he really wanted to talk to, and they like caught eyes over my shoulder, and he just started walking away from me in the middle of my sentence, just like floated away. And I was like, oh, this is a real life ghost. Like, if we were on the internet, you just would have stopped messaging me. So I had that experience. And y'all, if I had that experience as a newbie, it would have devastated me. But instead,
Oh,
I was like,
yeah.
hey, that was kind of rude of you to walk away mid sentence. Like, at least let me finish my word. And then, like, switching gears, I went to go walk away to find you, and I ended up connecting with that other guy that learned about what we do and instantly was like, hey, I have someone that you need to
Oh,
meet.
he was so sweet.
He was so nice. And so I also want to acknowledge that sometimes too, like sometimes people just aren't going to care what you do. And like
Yeah.
you don't have any control over that. And the people that like get it or have something for you or want the coaching session or whatever, it'll feel more obvious. Like it'll be more engaging. They will,
Yeah.
there's like, we can't like come up with the perfect answer to make it make sense for everybody.
Yeah.
There's not that is literally something that happened to me last week of like super great connection saying the same thing and super not great connection saying the same words. And it's just based on who I
Right.
was talking to.
Yeah. Ooh, I want to say this too for you guys. I'm thinking of our Make the Leapers. For any Make the Leaper who's listening to this right now, I know I'm not active in your chats, but I read everything that I'm in them for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
I guess. I'm not sure why I'm in them, but I like being in them because I read everything that you guys say and that you do. And I don't want to like answer every single one or jump in because you've got a lead coach and Shelby. And but I'm like realizing when you start your business, let's say you're in your business for 3 months. So you've certified, you're 3 months, you're in our programs or not in our programs. In that 3 months, let's say you get asked, what do you do 6 times? And let's say you quote unquote biff all six, or you get the experience of the guy that just ghosted you is one of those sixes. It's so easy. And I see this and people are like, something's going wrong. Like something's not working. Something is going wrong. Something's not working. And it's like, no, like out of six, what do you do's? You may not have any good ones. Out of
Mm-hmm.
60 what do you do's? You will, and then you'll know the difference. But like there
Mm-hmm.
are these, you just don't have perspective on volume. And so our brain says, well, I've done this twice. One was good, one was bad,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this is the same with connecting and inviting. And we just had, we went through a period of time where all of our sales calls were canceling, like no showing or canceling. And
Mm-hmm.
Shelby and I are like, what, something's wrong. And it's like, no, because then, 7 weeks out or 7 days out, it's not that anymore. But when we're hyper focused and too close focused and too close up, we can make things mean a lot more. And I feel like the what do you do statement is just ripe for that like
Mhm.
overanalyzation and making up stories about it. So if you have a bunch of bad ones, the only solution is to have a good one, and you'll have a good one if you keep having them. And then let us know if you have a really bad one that you can share with the community because everyone will be stoked to hear about it. We all like to like
Yeah.
commiserate over bad experiences.
If you have someone that is making eye contact with you and then straight up walks off, like, let's talk about it. 'Cause that like, LOL. I'm so grateful that that did not hurt my feelings, but I was like, "Whoa, it's been a long I don't know that that's ever happened to me before." Like, that was intense.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
How do we get
So,
better? How do
yeah,
we
how
just
do
get
we
better?
yeah. Okay, so 1, I want you guys to zoom out from a practical standpoint. Let's turn this into, like, a nursey skill of, like, as you're learning IVs, compare that to this you learning how to answer the "what do you do" statement, and sometimes you in the beginning, it's gonna be hot and cold, you're gonna nail it sometimes, you're not gonna nail it other times. You're eventually gonna find a rhythm, and then you're gonna hit a dry spell to where you miss every IV in a week, to where it's just
Yeah.
it happens, and I need you to understand that this is just like the flow of being human. This is exactly what it is. And there are ways to set yourself up to, like, nail it as well. Like, practice, get in the mirror, talk to your partner, be like, "Hey, can I practice saying things out loud?" Your partner, they don't know what nurse coaching is, even if you've told them 100 times. Like, let them be your guinea pig. Have them ask you questions. Be like, "Ooh, that one was really good. I really understood." Or, "You use this weird word this one time and I didn't understand. What does holding space mean?" Like, I don't get that. Avoid using coaching language, but just I mean, Laura and I, how many hours have we spent talking out loud with clients on this podcast in real life with people? Like, we just talk about nurse coaching probably at least 20 hours a week, at least, you know? So repetition, 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 repetition. And then also my favorite one, I used to avoid doing this. When people ask you what you do, practice saying it. Don't avoid it.
Yes.
Don't say, "I used to be an ER nurse, but now I'm doing this new weird thing called nurse coaching." Like, don't do that. I used to do that. Be like, "Yeah, I'm a transformation coach. I'm a life coach. I have powerful conversation with people and it changes their life." Like, be weird, but go with that first. Don't start with
Yeah.
what you used to do. Lead with what you do now, who you are
Yes.
now.
Yeah. The practicing in in the mirror or recording yourself, if you record yourself doing this 25 times and watch it back, um, it would how long would that take? Let's say that would take an hour, maybe, the most.
Yeah.
If you spent 60 minutes on that, every what do you do, you'd have a way higher chance of it not being weird. Because how
Yeah.
many if you have to do it 25 times recorded, how long in the wild would it take you to say it 25 times? Maybe
Mhm.
6 months,
Mhm.
maybe 8 months. So you could get 8 months of experience with this one particular thing in an hour, and the truth is only about 2% of humans will do that.
Yeah. Yep. It's similar to the advice we give of, like, recording your coaching calls, because 1 of 2 things happen. You realize that you're being extra hard on yourself and that coaching session wasn't actually that
Yeah,
bad, right? So whenever you're able to listen back to it and you're like, "Oh, that actually came across much smoother than I thought." Or you listen to your coaching call and you're like, "Ooh, I talked a lot. I made that about me. and then you're still able to do better next time. So you either get a
yeah,
little bit of confidence boosts or you get like real-time feedback that's actually very helpful and you're able to pivot. And either way is a win. Like either way
yeah.
is a win.
You guys could practice with one another too. You could host a Zoom call and all go around the room and just see how much cringe you can stand in your body as you all practice it. I think that I heard this somewhere. It's
Yeah.
like how much money you can make as a new entrepreneur is directly related to how much cringe you can handle in your body. And I think
Yeah.
that's so true. That's so true.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah,
It's
I mean true.
masochistic in some ways,
Yeah.
but worth it.
Like how many calls did I sweat through in the beginning? Like 100% of them probably for the first 2 years,
Right.
to be honest. Yeah. Yeah, practice, 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 and so if you can I think a helpful framework that Laura and I have adopted lately is, like, whenever we need to learn a new skill, Laura has this like really canny ability to be able to like ballpark the amount of hours it's going to take
Yeah.
to like learn a new thing. And so it's like, well, okay, well, we need to learn this new platform, or like we're going to start recording different types of short form content for our social
Yeah.
media. So if we can like put an hour amount on it, it's going to take me 20 hours to learn this thing. And there's no way to like make it 10 or make it 5. So I might as well not even try to shortcut it. I just got to like eat eat the frog
Yeah.
and do the 20 hours. If we told you that you could be 50% better at answering this question if you took 2 hours and practiced it in the mirror, practiced with your peers and recorded yourself, would it be worth it to you?
Right.
You know, like if that's literally all it took was 2 hours of your time to say it out loud and practice, does that make it more appealing? I think
That's
yes.
so helpful for my brain to put things into hours. It's like so good for me to see things that way. And that's the actual truth of it. And that comes from a lot of different things. And I don't know if I would have heard it as an early coach. I know that I wasn't told it or shown it, or that was not something that I
Mhm.
was aware of. It's like there's the emotional part of being a new coach, and then there's the skills. And it's like as long as you know what the top 3 things you should be working on, never shy away from spending time on a skill that's slowing you down. And you'll never be done. There'll always be another what do you do thing. Like what do you do is one
Mhm.
of the first ones, but there's 1,000 of these that are in your future if you do this long term. And I think what happens is you just get good at learning new things, and you get good at being at not caring about doing something as a newbie. But
Yeah,
I want to
totally.
offer like a one. How do I want to frame this? I know we've been going long, but I want to give you guys another way of approaching this. And this has happened to me maybe 10% of the time, and it's just worth mentioning. I've seen Evan slide into this. Sometimes what do you do is a divine appointment. Sometimes it's a seemingly normal day. You're going through all of your normal tasks. You happen upon somebody walking through the doors of an office, or you run into somebody you used to know. What are you up to, Laura? And you say something, and their face changes. You're like, oh my God, I am struggling so hard right now with X, Y, and Z. I can't believe I ran into you, and this is what you do. And so, like 10% of them are so good and so cosmic and so aligned and so spirit filled. I want you guys to have a few of those under your belt, because that's always a potential and always a possibility. And that'll keep you going. It's kind of like gambling.
Mhm.
If you play the slot machine and you win it, you'll play it another 100 times because it felt so damn good to win it. But if you never
Yeah.
win it, you're going to quit. You're like, oh, I'm just throwing money away, this stupid thing. I'm wasting my time. And
Yeah.
do you have any of those stories, Shelby? Those are like full
Oh,
body chills,
yeah.
right place, right time. Thank God I could answer that in that way, or I showed up that way today because it was so in
Mhm.
service to this other human.
Yeah, I mean, not to like be I feel like this is gonna come off really self-centered, but this happens to me like every week to where I will
Hmm.
reach out to someone because I'm genuinely thinking about them, not because I got a task reminder. You know, like I'll
Yeah.
see their post pop up or whatever, and I'm like, oh man, I wonder how they are. And I'll just like send a voice memo, be like, hey, Laura, I was thinking about you. How are you? Because I genuinely want to know. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you sent this to me today because
Yeah.
my life's on fire or this really cool thing just happened or whatever. Um, and I mean, now because we're known for helping people start their businesses, they're like, and I'm ready. Like I'm ready to start. I can't believe that you messaged me today.
Right.
This is crazy. Or like on LinkedIn where it's a little of a colder market for us. I was messaging people and I invited somebody to like our six figures workshop. I invited them to something. I didn't know who they are. They came and then they messaged me afterwards and they're like, I have been just in tears since that workshop because I didn't know that there was another way. And I'm so at the end of my rope. And this is divine timing. I can't believe it. How did you find me? Like, and I have no strategy on LinkedIn other than to add you if you're a nurse. Like, that is literally like
Right.
my game, right? I didn't pick her special. It just happened. And
Yeah.
so those moments, especially when we're playing like the cold connection game, it's tougher. And so I like to sink into those. Like, I'm looking for like 5 of those to keep good fuel in the tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in conclusion, just being able to answer that question, what do you do with clarity and confidence? It is a requirement because it's just going to keep happening until you have some sort of grasp on it, and it'll evolve, and it can be specific and you can make it up on the fly. And if you don't know what
Yeah.
to say, create something weird that really puts the focus back on the person asking and just ask them about them. We have to talk about like in-person networking events. As a professional nurse life coach at an in-person networking event, if you're in a room of 50 people you don't know at a cocktail hour with name tags, which is as an introvert makes you want to put pencils in my eye. But if I had to go do that, the goal is not to tell everybody what do you do. The goal is to find one or two people and find out everything about them. That is the
Mhm.
strategy. It's not, we
Mhm.
don't need volume. We just need a few solid connections. And the best way to connect with another human being that you don't know is just know more about them. So as long as the what do you do is quick and it hooks into an easy way to find out more about the person who asks, then you're doing it right in
Yeah.
every situation. Yeah.
Totally. Totally, totally. Yep. And a gentle reframe here, team. When people ask you this question, it's not a threat. It's a doorway to connection.
Mhm.
It's a doorway. And if they start walking off when you're telling them what you do, just let them go. Let them.
Yeah, make
Let
eye
them.
contact
Don't.
with another with somebody else.
Yeah, just let them. It's okay. Yeah, they're curious. They most of the time are not judging you, and just know that after you answer this question 100 times, you will answer this question 100 times. It's going to start to feel better and feel easier, and in 7 years, even if you'll still have funny stories like me in 7 years. You just have a thicker skin for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in our Facebook group, if you want to share your what do you do, we can play in there. If you have any what do you do stories that you want to share, that's a great place to just
Mm-hmm.
come hang out with us. And if you have any specific questions about us, our programs, or even just a funny story that you want to share personally, we have our inbox open. We love hearing from you guys. Anything else you want to say, Shelby, before we not hit 40 minutes
No.
today?
Not hit 40 minutes. We're going to wrap it up. We appreciate you guys tuning in. If you want to subscribe, or like this podcast, give us a review. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
And um yeah, we'll see you same time, same place next week.
See ya.
Bye everyone.